Hi.
Have you been?
Hi.
Yeah, brand new.
Maybe I should bring a card to us. Brand new? Like how brand new?
Like 3 days.
So whose is that? That's not
No,
am I right?
I think it was, but he couldn't use it because it doesn't have a handle. He needs a thing.
Whose is it?
It's like a transfer. But it's good. It's like good for. He said it was good for whacking
Well, I'm going to
monkeys.
have to get you because you usually sit right above me.
Perfect. We were talking about getting a spray gun for the bhagavatam speaker.
In the
that's
Christian
good.
churches in colonial time, you know about that? Church went about 6 hours.
Girivaradare Jashodanandana Prajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari
Jayom Vishnuvar Paramahamsa Parivrajika Jashodara Sisimat. His Divine Grace of Aicharanada Avinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Karantara srimadbhagavatam Ki Jai, Samveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Hare Krishna. So today's class, third canto, 32nd chapter, text 34 through 36, and 34 is on the board. We'll chant that one together. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanamaski Chandram Jayavadarotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jamudiraya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Kriyaya Kratubhirdanais Tapaswadhyaya Marshanaihi Atmindriya Jahinapi Sanyasena Chakarmanam Kriyaya Kratubhirdanais Tapaswadhyaya Marshanahi Atmindriya Jahinapi Sanyasena Chakarmanam Kriyaya Kratubhirdanais Tapaswadhyaya Marshanahi Atmindriya Jayenapi Sanyasena Chakarmanam That's enough? Jainapi Sanyasena Chakarmanam Swadhyaya Marshanai Sanyasena Chakarmanam Kriyaya Kratubhirdanai Indriya Jayenapi Sanyasena Chakarmanam. Anyone else? Kratubhirdanais Tapaswadhyaya Marshanai Admindriya Jayenapi Sanyasena Chakarmanam Kratubhirdanais Tapaswadhyaya Marshanai Admindriya Jayenapi. Thank you.
Sanyasena Chakarmanam.
So finally figured it out. In the beginning of the Krishna book, when Kamsa is bringing Devaki on the chariot after the wedding, and there was a voice in the sky, it was Dravida. Yeah, there was a voice in the sky. Yeah. There's Dravida. Damodar. Mukunda. Kamsa, you're such a fool. Your son's gonna. It was Dravida. Like that. He perpetually comes age after age just to be the voice in the sky. Okay, so we can just go episodic now. The big realization's been unfolded on everyone. So the next verse is Yogena vividagena bhakti yogena chaivahi dharmeno bhaya chinnena ya praviti nivritti man atma tattva vabodhena vairagena dridhena cha iyate bhagavan ebihi saguna nirguna swadrik. So we'll do the synonyms for these words on the board. Kriyaya, by fruit of activities. Kratubihi, by sacrificial performances. Danahi, by charity. Tapaha, austerities. Swadhyaya, study of the Vedic literature. Marshanahi, and by philosophical research. Atma Indriya Jayena, by controlling the mind and senses. Api, also. Sannyasena, by renunciation. Cha, and karmanam, of fruit of activities. So the translation will tell you it's just a long list, not just, a wonderful long list of all kinds of auspicious activities. So here's the translation. By performing fruit of activities and sacrifices. I'll read through it first, then we'll come back around. If you're all excited and still awake, you can repeat after me. By performing fruit of activities and sacrifices, by distributing charity, by performing austerities, by studying various literatures, by conducting philosophical research, by controlling the mind, by subduing the senses, by accepting the renounced order of life, and by performing the prescribed duties of one's social order, by performing the different divisions of yoga practice, by performing devotional service, and by exhibiting the process of devotional service containing the symptoms of both attachment and detachment, by understanding the science of self-realization, and by developing a strong sense of detachment, one who is expert in understanding the different processes of self-realization realizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he is represented in the material world as well as in transcendence. So there's a few mysteries in this we'll have to unwrap. Would you like to repeat this verse? No? Okay. I'll leave it to the Krishna book voice. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As it is stated in the previous verse, one has to follow the principles of the scriptures. Do you remember yesterday's class? Because it's referring to the previous verse. One has to follow the principles of the scriptures. There are different prescribed duties for persons in the different social and spiritual orders, so not everyone's the same. Here it is stated that performance of fruit of activities and sacrifices and distribution of charity are activities meant for persons who are in the householder order of society. There are 4 orders of the social system: brahmacharya, grihastha, vanapras, and sannyas. For the grihasthas or householders, performance of sacrifices, distribution of charity, and action according to prescribed duties are especially recommended. You know, of all of those, which is the most important or recommended for householders? Charity. Charity. They've got to give a lot of charity. For 2 reasons. No one else is working, right? No one else is working, so they got to create the money. But also they become very attached to their money. So giving in charity is recommended because then you become detached. Like that. Whether it's regulated, I have to give 10% off the top every month, or 20% or whatever, or just when someone asks you give. So you have to, otherwise become very, very attached. Like that. So. Similarly, austerity, I think this is you guys. Similarly, austerity, study of Vedic literature, and philosophical research are meant for the vanaprasthas, or retired persons. Study of the Vedic literature from the bona fide spiritual master is for the brahmachari or student. So you guys don't have to perform any austerities. Right? All you have to do is Study the Vedic literatures under your spiritual master. Admindriya Jaya, control of the mind and taming the senses, is meant for persons in the renounced order of life. All these different activities are prescribed for different persons so that they may be elevated to the platform of self-realization, and from there to Krishna consciousness, devotional service. The words Bhakti Yogena Chaivahi mean that whatever is to be performed, as described in verse 34, whether yoga or sacrifice or fruitive activity or study of Vedic literature or philosophical research or acceptance of the renounced order of life, is to be executed in Bhakti Yoga. The words Chaivahi, according to Sanskrit grammar, indicate that one must perform all these activities mixed with devotional service. Otherwise, such activities will not produce any fruit. Any prescribed activity must be performed for the sake of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, 27th verse, Yad karosi yadasnasi. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you sacrifice, whatever austerities you undergo, and whatever charities you give, the result should be given to the Supreme Lord. The word eva is added, indicating that one must execute activities in such a way. Unless one adds devotional service to all activities, he cannot achieve the desired result. But when Bhakti Yoga is prominent in every activity, then the ultimate goal is sure. One has to approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, as it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita. After many, many births, one approaches the Supreme Person, Krishna, and surrenders unto him, knowing that he is everything. Bhavanam Janmanam Ante, is that the verse? Okay, just checking with Bhakti Zach. Okay. Also in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Bhoktaram Dagnatapasam. That's the last verse of what chapter? Damodar. Do you know that? Bhoktaram Dagnatapasam Sarvalokam Maheshwaram Suridam Sarvabhutanam Yadgatam Shantam Richati. It's the last of the 5th chapter, right? That's the peace formula. You've heard the Prabhupada's peace formula. So we'll come back to that. For anyone who's undergoing rigid austerity, can you actually open that door a little bit? Maybe let a little fresh air in here. That's that show on KPBS with Terry Gross, Fresh Air. Right? It means it wakes you up. Like that. Fresh air. Like that. Fresh air with Dharmasetu. Fresh air with srimadbhagavatam. It's a new thing. Put it on KPBS. Really fresh air, srimadbhagavatam, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. For anyone who is undergoing rigid austerity, or for anyone performing different kinds of sacrifices, the beneficiary is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's probably twist them, Prabhupada's, the translation you find. He is the proprietor of all planets, and he is the friend of every living soul. The words dharmeno bhaya chinena mean that the Bhakti Yoga process contains 2 symptoms. You know what those 2 symptoms are? Namely, attachment for the Supreme Lord and detachment from all material affinities. There are 2 symptoms of advancement in the process of devotional service, just as there are 2 processes taking place while eating. Okay, so this is your quiz before breakfast. You can, while you're taking breakfast, see if you remember this, okay? A hungry man feels strength and satisfaction from eating, and at the same time he gradually becomes detached from eating anymore. Right? So that's what's going on when you're honoring prasadam. You're enjoying it very much, but simultaneously, gradually you're becoming detached, because how many pancakes can a mortal eat? Right? Find that out at breakfast. Okay. Similarly, with the execution of devotional service, real knowledge develops, and one becomes detached from all material activities. In no other activity but devotional service is there such detachment from matter and attachment for the Supreme. That's a very important line right there. All these other processes recommended, you won't find these symptoms, this combination. There are 9 different processes to increase this attachment to the Supreme Lord: hearing, chanting, remembering, worshiping, serving the Lord, making friendship, praying, offering everything, and serving the lotus feet of the Lord. Mukunda, you know that verse by Prahlad Maharaj, the Sanskrit for that? Okay, give him an extra pancake. Like that. Okay. Okay. The processes for increasing detachment from material affinities are explained in verse 36. So that's the last one here. Whoops. One can achieve elevation to the higher planetary systems like the heavenly kingdom by executing one's prescribed duties and by performing sacrifices. When one is transcendental to such desires, because of accepting the renounced order of life, he can understand the Brahman feature of the Supreme, and when one is able to see his real constitutional position, he sees all other processes and becomes situated in the stage of pure devotional service. At that time, he can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Understanding the Supreme Person is called Atma Tattva Avabodhena, which means understanding one's real constitutional position. If one actually understands one's constitutional position as an eternal servitor of the Lord, he becomes detached from the service of the material world. Everyone engages in some sort of service. If one does not know one's constitutional position, one engages in the service of his personal, gross body or his family, society, or country. But as soon as one is able to see his constitutional position, the word swadrik means one who is able to see, he becomes detached from such material service and engages himself in devotional service. Now here's the last purport, last paragraph. As long as one is in the modes of material nature and is performing the duties prescribed in the scriptures, he can be elevated to higher planetary systems where the predominating deities are material representations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, like the Sun God, the Moon God, the Air God, Brahma and Lord Shiva. All the different demigods are material representations of the Supreme Lord. By material activities, one can approach only such demigods as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 9 chapter 25th verse, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan. Those who are attached to the demigods and who perform the prescribed duties can approach the abodes of the demigods. In this way, one can go to the planet of the Pitas, or forefathers. Similarly, one who fully understands the real position of his life adopts devotional service and realizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Agyantimanandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksulanminitam Dina Taismai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Bhanjikapatru Bhashta Kripa Sindhu Bevaja Badidanam Bhavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Should I continue? Okay. You know the story of Gajendra, the elephant? Okay. I went to some temple in South India and they said the pastime happened right there. And later on I asked one devotee and he said actually on this planet there's parallels of what's happened on the heavenly different pastimes of the Lord also. But it was an interesting place there. And there Ramanujacharya's temple and so on. Have you been there? Okay. But yeah, Gajendra, there's a ghat there, and they said it all happened there also, so it's interesting. But the point I wanted to bring is, in those purports in the 8th canto, Prabhupada, at that time he was dealing with one of our god brothers leaving the sannyas order. But he brought up the point that the different orders of life, we know that Gajendra was an elephant. Now, elephants are very strong. Here's the quiz, on the land or in the water? Okay, and he was in the water, playing around with the she-elephants, and something horrible happened. You know the story? And one that is bit. The crocodile was looking to have a elephant pakora or something, you know, and held on to him, was dragging him into the water. And crocodiles are stronger, what, on the land or in the water? In the water. In fact, if you're being chased by an alligator, you know what you're supposed to do? There you go. Has that happened to you before? He immediately said that, like that. Yeah, because they can only run in a straight line. A crocodile, alligator, if they're on land and you're being chased, they come out of the water and start chasing you, you go zigzag because they can't zigzag. They can only go in a straight line, so they get all bewildered like that. You know, it's like, what's going on here? And they just give up. and go back in. They may say something like, hey, can you please run in a straight line? In their own language, but you don't do it. So every species, they have limitations. So Gajendra, although very, very strong, very, very, very strong, elephants are quite strong, in the water he was no match. So in that purport, Prabhupada is saying that according to your order of life, or even devotional service in general, you have to place yourself, we have to place ourselves in whatever ashram is the best for us, where we can best execute our devotional service. So in the beginning of this purport, Prabhupada is bringing that up, that in the different orders of life, different varieties of activities are recommended in those orders of life. They're most appropriate. Just like if we depended on the brahmacharis to give charity, what would happen? I got an extra pair of kopans I can loan you. It's only a loan, though. You know, we got nothing. We got nothing. You have nothing, right? Like that. So every order of life is specific to your psychophysical makeup as you're passing through the different ages and so on. Of course, what is it? Isn't there a GBC resolution now about how old you have to be to take sannyas? Not too young. Is that all it says, or is it actually age? 40-something? Did you say 25? 45, yeah. Yeah, and I don't know how hard and fast that is, but it's recommended one has to be a little older, because as you get older, then it's easier to perform these austerities, and you're not so... Yeah, yeah. So that's the point. So one has to be intelligent about what order of life they're in. And if one's a grihasta, they shouldn't act like a sannyasi. And one's a sannyasi, he shouldn't be a grihasta. And Hridananda Maharaj, I don't know who it is, he said he one godbrother sannyasi, but he said wherever he went, he traveled wherever he went, especially around India, he'd always buy all this stuff, suitcases, then he'd go to different, wherever he land up in different temples, he'd open a suitcase and sell it. He said he was a Vaishya. He just loved selling stuff. He just couldn't stop it, you know. So he's just making that point that some people, their nature is, you know, he just like was, hey Maharaj, what do you got? I got, you know, he just show up with his trunks and stuff and just start selling, you know, devotional paraphernalia, clothing, this, that, and the other thing. He just couldn't, wherever he went, he just was a Vaishya. So he wasn't so much into scriptures and things like that and so on. So we have different natures, and we have to engage those natures accordingly. And there's always some way, different processes for the different orders of life. And that should be respected. But the main point here is whatever order of life we're in, whatever we're doing for our advancement, whether it's material or spiritual, has to be mixed with devotional service. There has to be a mix there. Even in the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna says, you should become my devotee, always think about me, he says, but if you can't do that, then if you can't spontaneously think of me in love and devotion, the next prescription is to engage in the process of devotional service, and you gradually come to that point. But you may not be able to do that, right? So then there's the cultivation of knowledge, there's the giving in charity, and there's at least being detached, and there's different recommendations are given. At least do this, at least do that. Somehow or other, there's something for you to do to connect you to Krishna. And that's a preacher's expertise, how to engage everyone accordingly so they connect with Krishna. As much as possible. And the spiritual master is always pushing us to connect more and more and more, understanding that is our constitutional position. But this verse in the Bhagavad Gita, yad karosi yad asnasi yad jahosi tadasi yat tapasasi kontayat tat kurushva mararpanam. Arpana means an offering, like that. So everything we do, eat, give away, whatever, charity, anything, should be done as an offering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That doesn't mean we can make stuff up, right? Just, on a morning walk, Prabhupada was in one park, and some person offered Prabhupada a fish, right? The man was fishing, like that. Oh, so Prabhupada said, no, you enjoy. And kept walking on. You can't accept everything for Krishna. There's certain things we can accept, but in general we understand what this means. These things should all be in relationship to Krishna. And then when devotional service becomes prominent, that's our lifestyle as devotees, then it says here, the ultimate goal is assured. If one just wants to mix a little bit. You know what Mishra Bhakti means? Damodar? You know, contaminated. Mishra means mix. Yeah, something like that. Mixed. I guess you say contaminated. Mixed devotional service. Mishra Bhakti. Bhakti. It's mixed with some other things. A little karma, or a lot of karma, a lot of gyan, but Krishna's there. Krishna's in the mix. Like that. Then there's pure devotional service. There's no anyabhilasita shunya jnana karma anabritam. Who wrote that one? Besides the Voice of Krishna book, who knows this? Rupa Goswami. Right. That's the definition of devotional service. Anyabhilasita shunya jnana karma anabritam. There's no consideration of jnana and karma. Like that. Mental speculation and fruit of activities. One just wants to serve Krishna. These other things are for me. Like that. What does they say? No, there's the initials. So maybe it's W-I-I-F-M. When you're writing sales stuff, there's a thing. You have to answer the question, what's in it for me? Because when you sell something to someone or advertise something, people want to know, what's in it for me? Right? That's just our question. Everything we look around in the material world, we're always thinking, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? Right? You look at someone else and you immediately size them up. Friend, enemy, good, bad, right? What's in it for me? This, that. You sit down at the prasadam table and you look at the prasadam. What's in it for me? This looks good. This doesn't look good. Got to be careful with that one. You know what Srila Bhakti Santa used to do when he became upset with his disciples picking and choosing the prasad, Mahaprasad? What did he do? He just mixed it all up and said, help yourself. Like that. All this, this looks good. Yeah. No. So be very careful. But that mentality, so what's in it for me? So what's the devotional mentality? What's in it for Krishna? What's in it for Krishna? See the difference? So, but Prabhupada's saying here, I'm getting near the end here, that's the swadrik. Swadrik, the Sanskrit, means one who actually sees his constitutional position as eternal servant of Krishna. So automatically that's kicked in. One can't think of anything else but the pleasure of Krishna. It's automatic as one becomes purified. Now all these different processes are ways of becoming gradually purified, leading ultimately to devotional service. It is the supreme method because it's completely transcendental. These other things aren't. It's not that you get to the spiritual world and you're doing your karma yoga or hatha yoga or this kind of this, whatever, giving in charity. Those things aren't going on to purify yourself. So that's what you do. Sometimes you ask people, what do you think it's like in the spiritual world? What do you think people are doing there? Do you think that people are yogis are meditating, or people are performing grand sacrifices to the, even there, the residents of Vrindavan, they may be worshiping or praying to the demigods. What are they praying for? What are the gopis praying to Goddess Katyayani for? Krishna is their husband, right? So it's all around Krishna. Like that. Even you can say the worshipping of Lord Indra, if the rains are there, so the produce is there, and the cows are nicely, so the milk is nice, so we can make nice milk preparations for Krishna. Even Mother Yashoda, when she was very upset with Krishna for stealing all the yogurt and breaking the pot and everything, you know why she was upset? Exactly. It interrupted her devotional service. She wasn't thinking, Krishna, that was my milk. What are you doing? No, that milk was for you. That was for you, and I was going to give it to you, and now you've created a big mess. You gave it to your friends, the monkeys. Like that. So she was upset with Krishna just because it had interrupted her service to Krishna. So that's what's in it for Krishna. That's the meditation. And that comes with devotional service, but it's not there in these other things. They're pious. They're pious. And they gradually lead to devotional service in due course of time. But Devotional service is topmost. Like that. And the end here, it's interesting because the last line of the verses says that Krishna in his manifestations in this material world and in transcendence, and Prabhupada brings that out at the end of the purport, how the demigods are representations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because the whole Vedic path is to understand we are dependent upon others. And demigod worship brings that out. It's very evident because we're in this material world, and who's controlling everything? You know, if you don't have a vision of transcendence, you know, the rain is coming, the sunlight's coming, all this material world's going on. Oh, there's the devatas. They're very, very powerful. And they live in very nice neighborhood. Like that. So let me go to that neighborhood, and you can go there in your next life. Like that. But it's all to bring about the understanding that we're dependent upon other. And who are these demigods? They're the eternal servants of the Lord. They work under His direction. Who is that Lord? And then gradually one's consciousness progresses. But that's what's referred to in the end of the verse, that the Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead, is as He's represented in the material world as well as in transcendence. So it's 8:25. We should end here. It's time for any questions or comments. Yes, Prabhu.
So you said something to the effect that there's parallels in India or on Earth to different locations in the higher planetary system?
Oh, yes, I did say that.
Could you elaborate on that?
I'll elaborate a little bit on it, then we'll turn it over to Davida. You know, there's just like I was listening recently, just like talking about Lord Shiva. Now, Lord Shiva has maybe, I think it's 4 different abodes. He has an abode on this earth. He has an abode in the heavenly realms. He has his own Haridham, not Haridham, what is it called? Maheshdham. And then there's something in the spiritual world. So a lot of times people say Lord Shiva, and they say, who are they talking to? You know, the Shiva of this planet and Mount Kailash. Then you've got his heavenly abode. Then you've got, you know, different levels of his tattva. He has different realms, and that's one thing. And then the other thing was that different pastimes are performed in different regions of the universe. Sometimes they're done here, just like they say about Ahovalam. Lord Narasimhadev appeared there at one time, but also we read in the Bhagavatam how he's there in Indraloka because he's sitting on Indra's throne. So, and that's what I meant, that there are places on this planet where different pastimes of the Lord were actually performed at different times. Like that.
Well, what about the possibility, like in a Hovelam, there's this rock formation the locals say the pillar that they're on where the first out of.
Right.
But for some reason rebuilt themselves afterwards. But it looks like a natural rock formation. What about this idea that in India that everybody wants everything, every great thing to happen in their backyard?
Yes.
Everybody wants the money to come and,
Right.
Take the arch out of the holy place.
Yes.
So isn't it possible that maybe these locals that are home just said, oh, it happened here, but in reality it didn't happen there?
Okay. Therefore, you have to have these sacred places confirmed by the acharyas. Just like how was the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, how was that confirmed? Who jumped up and started dancing in ecstasy? Right, that, so it was confirmed. Bhaktivinoda Thakur brought him there just to confirm. You know. So yes, you're absolutely right. That goes on not only in India, but all over the place. You know how many places in Tennessee, say Davy Crockett was there, and yeah, Crockett sell all those little hats with the raccoon hats and this and that. So it goes on. In fact, so you're right. Or it was Madhus. Madhusudan and his family went to Europe last summer or something like that. And they were showing me this. They had this pictures, the slides of this one temple, St. Catherine or something. And they had this, fortunately they don't do it anymore, but this custom of chopping up the bodies of saints and putting their body parts in different places. I remember here at the SanDiego Art Museum they had a thing on the Vatican and so on, and they had a few fingers of different popes on display, what was left, you know. So they feel that by putting these body parts, it's like very spiritual. And anyways, this Catherine, her head's there. But the point is, it was brought up the tour guides, it says, sometimes they say, well, her leg's here, her hand's there, and they make it up. It's someone else's leg or this or that because for tourism, like that. So it has to be confirmed by the acharyas, and sometimes there's rivalry between kings and they steal, a pope's part of his body and they move it to their kingdom, but the other. So you're absolutely right. How to confirm that we're not being cheated, and didn't really happen there, but it has to be confirmed by the acharyas. I don't know. It sounds pretty barbaric to me. You chop up the body and yeah. So that's what it is. A little finger like that. Yes.
On a related note, in the Bhagavatam, there's a list of holy rivers. There might be a few of them, but it seems like the list is so long. I would think that that's practically every river in India. The Bhagavatam is saying is holy. So what is the position of India as opposed to the rest of the earth? Like, does God only incarnate in India? Are holy rivers only in India? Are holy places only in India? Like, what is exactly the position?
Okay. Well, that's a good question. What makes a place holy? Okay. Now, obviously, if it's connected directly with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in His pastimes, it's holy. But it's also connected with devotees of the Lord. It becomes holy. So, just like there's the Holy Land of the Christians and the Jews and so on. There are holy places. They're connected with great saints and saintly persons. I'm sure if you could find the place where the burning bush was, you could clean up on that one. Like that. You have a little bush burning there and just like keep it going. So just like wherever a pure devotee goes, it becomes a holy place. So therefore they say wherever Prabhupada went, places become sacred. Like that. So in that sense, places are holy because they're connected with the Lord and His devotees, and that's all over the universe. And whether every single river in India is holy, I don't know. I do know quite a lot of them are very polluted right now, and their holiness is definitely hidden. Very unfortunate. But the fact that some saintly person lived in a particular ashram on the bank of this river, that it can make it holy. Right? I mean, there's that story in the Gita Mahatmya about each chapter talks about different personalities, and there was one instance where these two people, I don't know, husband and wife, or they took birth as like a rabbit and a wolf or something because they didn't get along in the last life and it was payback time or something, and they were chasing. One was chasing the other, like, I'm going to get you, Probably the wife getting back at the husband or vice versa, And they were right on the bank of the river and they slid in this mud. And something happened. They were liberated. Now the reason that was muddy was there was one sage who every day would go down, take his bath, come back up, and the water dripping from his gumsha in his water pot made the trail muddy. And he was always meditating and chanting on the Bhagavad Gita, whatever chapter, I don't know what a chapter it was that corresponds. But just from the dripping of the water from his body, from that river, and the fact that he was so holy from chanting that one chapter of Gita all the time, those two creatures became liberated. So, in that sense.
Are there holy rivers? Or what makes a river sacred or holy?
Like I said, it's connection with the Supreme Lord or devotees of the Lord that makes it holy or sacred spot. Just like in Christianity, there are places where, what's her name? Well, different, Mary appeared, different, appearances of Mother Mary, like that. Who's the one in South America? Guadalupe, like that. She's the big one there, and she appeared, and different miracles happened, So that's what they say. That. Any other questions or comments?
Even though it's a holy place of pilgrimage, it's described that there's actually a film over the Dham so that you can't actually enter the Dham. So similarly, it's like as Srila Prabhupada describes that, what is Vrindavan? The mindset of all these temples of ISKCON are Vrindavan. So all these places that Srila Prabhupada is describing are holy churches, and holy places. This is not different than Vrindavan. It's not different than Mayapur. And
So you should just stay here.
it's not conscious. And just
Practice what you
a small
preach.
fact, a small, you can go, you're describing, holy places that, by sacred holy men walk, or holy persons walking there. But you can go to Thompson Square Park and, you can see where Srila Prabhupada started the Hare Krishna movement. That's a holy spot, there's a plaque there now by the New York government. Devotees can go there and tell this is the tree, and they follow around it. You can see devotees hugging the tree, so, it's government of one time.
Yeah, Thompson Square Park.
Yeah, so it's not just in India, it's everywhere, the Saudis are.
Yeah.
And actually, going to the holy place is not, you don't get any benefit from going to the holy place. You get benefit from hearing from the Saudis in the holy place.
Yeah, and your change of consciousness, just like my uncle, my aunt lives in Escondido, but we don't see each other because I'm going to hell as far as she's concerned. So my uncle and her are like on the same, and he went on that. There's a pilgrimage. You can go on a pilgrimage where Christ, the path of Christ in Galilee, and you can do that. And you get, people get purified doing that. And there's a special hike you can take all the way from Spain, all the way through France and so on. It's the Crusades. I forget the name of it. It's a famous thing. People hike it, and they feel a change in consciousness. So that's the most important thing. Feel a change in consciousness because it's the remembrance of some sacred activity. I don't know if actually the Crusades would be considered a sacred activity. Hridayananda Maharaj said the first crusade, when it showed up, they sent a message back to the Pope. We can't tell who's a Christian and who's a Muslim. So you know what the Pope said? Kill them all. God will figure it out.
In regards to what Acharya Yusha said, my understanding is that there is a spiritual atmosphere in the Dham, and you can get purified there. At least it's not that there's no benefit whatsoever unless you hear from a holy person. My understanding is there is, just by entry.
Yes, there is.
But, and so the point was made that this temple is not different than the Dham, but it is different, though. It's not different, but simultaneously different, is my understanding. Otherwise, it would be the point of spending thousands of dollars here in India and all you can do is in India. So there must be some difference between the actual Dhams in India and then the satellite Dhams around the world, right?
Yeah, and those differences sometimes you could say have to do with the perception of the devotees. So I wonder what very advanced devotees, if they actually, for them, there is no difference.
Well, Krishnadas Kaviraj, Goswami, and Chaitanya Charitamrita said that Vrindavan is all pervading, so you can access the spiritual realm everywhere if you're on that level.
Right, but we're not on that level. So there's something very special. We all know that. Everyone who's been there knows. When you go to the Dham in India, there's a lot of the spiritual energy is very, very, very strong there. So in other words, it's much more perceptible, even for us neophytes. Therefore, Prabhupada said, you should try to go. Try to make that pilgrimage as much as you can. Not as much, he didn't say as much as you can, so I don't want to okay, we're going every month now, Hare Krishna, good luck covering the schedule. Prabhu. I'm just going to confuse you.
Yeah, so therefore, on that point, in order to realize who's the Vrindavan, the secret Vrindavan here, or it might be easier in Vrindavan, but my experience in that is that you really have to take seriously the process and following strictly the Bhakti Rasa Sindhi and Hari Bhakti Vilas will help us here realize as well. I just wanted to very quickly read something later from Srila Prabhupada regarding, of course, giving charity is a very important aspect of your hospital life, but we have to remember that Srila Prabhupada created a team of Kshatriya Brahmins to assist him, and in the old days there was Mukunda in his life, and Kamal Krishna in his life, and Anjali in his life, and Jimmy and Guru Das, and then the Grihastha couple of things. We're acting as warriors. I remember in the Calcutta temple in the Rood, there were 23 hasta families, husband and wife, separated by bed sheets, all engaged in preaching. So that's the real purpose. Prabhupada says here, the mature understanding of Krishna consciousness means that whatever condition of life I am in at present, that is Krishna's special mercy upon me. Therefore, let me take advantage in the best way possible to spread this Krishna consciousness movement and conduct my spiritual master's mission. If I consider my own personal progress or happiness or any other thing personal, that is material consideration.
Okay. Balaram?
Yeah, you said in the Bhagavatam Rita, Krishna is there in Dwarka, he's missing Vrindavan so much, and what actually happens there is somehow or other devotees or whoever, ISKCON or whoever, they created Nava Vrindavan, which Nava means new Vrindavan. And Prabhupada was familiar with the Bhagavatam Rita. There's that quote on the Bhagavatam Rita by Prabhupada. Prabhupada says, anyone who wants to know anything about devotees, devotional service, has to read the Bhagavatam Rita. It's about the Prabhupada. So he knew about that. Nava Vrindavan. So it's interesting because we have our new Vrindavan in West Virginia. And Prabhupada's idea was, 7 temples like in Vrindavan, the Goswami temples, and create that spiritual atmosphere, and to inspire people like that. So, and then here we have the new Govardhan, right, the new Dwarka, we have the new Jagannath Puri in Berkeley, and all over. And that was Prabhupada's idea. So it's the same atmosphere. So it's the whole thing, but the residents of New Govardhan have to follow the footsteps of the Govardhan Vasis, the mood and worshiping Krishna and all that. And if you look at Shivram Swami's farm there, he's following that from New Rajadam. And anyways, he's building different things. Like
Don't they also at the Eco Village there? They are doing that also, aren't they? Like scale models of different temples and so on. I've never seen Pab had some photos. Yeah.
I'm trying to get everybody in the mood of
Yeah.
Vrindavan.
Also Bhaktivedanta Manor. They're doing something like that also. Yeah, to bring out the mood.
I mean, if we had enough property, of course, we could do a little Luna River, build downhill.
The new property. You start working on that. You start get that hill going, get that river going. Yeah. So we can end here. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. srimadbhagavatam ki jai, Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Govardhan.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna